So, hello. So, we're going to talk, or I'm going to talk mainly tonight about Newman Guide schools and kind of my kids' experience of, I know, just kind of what scholarships we've managed to achieve, or kind of how we've done it. Um, and don't, I feel quite awkward about it all, and I don't prefer, I'm certainly not an expert on this, but I think we have done a certain amount of. I found out quite a lot along the way, and if that's going to be useful for someone else, I would have very much valued listening to someone else's experiences when, before we embarked on it all. So that's the idea, to try and sort of like share what I've learned, and there's everyone's situation is different, and so I'm going to say things which I don't know. I can only just go from my experience and my kind of kids' experience. So that's what I'm sort of planning to do. So take it not as an expert, but just as a mum who's done something and achieved various sorts of scholarships, and I can just kind of share like what we did. So yeah, take it or leave it, but I hope it's useful. That was the point. Um, so these are my kids, and some of them have there's actually a son-in-law in there as well. So I've got seven kids, and three of them went to or are going. One's going in the summer. Three of them have gone to American universities. Another one got a scholarship for American university, but didn't actually go because of COVID. So kind of like we basically got four different scholarships that the kids managed to achieve to American universities. So I suppose what we were interested in was the Newman schools. The Newman schools, if you don't know, are a list of um, good Catholic. There's a certain requirement. There's a sound badge. The sound badge for everyone.
Not for me.
Okay, sorry, Margaret. So the Newman, there's a list of American college. Well, they're not so American, but they started off being American colleges that are Catholic, and there's a certain criteria to be a Newman school. So there are loads and loads of Catholic universities in America, but there are only some of them that are on the Newman list. So the ones that are particularly Catholic and Orthodox are going to be on the Newman list. So umpteen ones are going to be, so say for example, Notre Dame is a Catholic university, but it's not on the Newman list because it doesn't, there's certain criteria it doesn't meet. And some of those other Catholic universities, some of them are going to be great and marvelous and great places to go to. I've got no experience as those, know a little bit about some of them, but don't really have much experience of those. But the Newman ones are the ones that we were interested in. So yeah, do you want to go to the next one? So, and these are yeah, some of them are in America and some of them are not in America, but you can just Google the Newman list and see them. Um, and so as we were kind of embarking on it, I embarked on the whole process of wanting my kids to go to Newman schools, thinking, well, there's no way this is going to happen. I just cannot see it. And with each of them, I thought like, well, I just cannot see how on earth this is possibly going to happen because they don't give, they just don't give kind of like scholarships out. It's very, very difficult to get scholarships. There's only a few of them, and like it's just not going to happen. But we thought, well, let's just embark on this process and see what happens. And you've just got nothing to lose. So I really didn't want the kids to be, thinking this is a done deal because it really wasn't. And but kind of like, well, why not just do it and we'll see where it goes. So I did like a Google sheet, and I just I went through like all the Newman schools and anything that was of interest and went through and worked out. And this is just like, the example of it's not kind of comprehensive. I'm sure there's mistakes on it or whatever, but I was just trying to work out how much you pay, how American colleges work. Do you pay an amount for tuition, an amount for room and board, and then there's a total. And you may get a scholarship for the whole lot. Tuition is usually the thing that they give you the scholarship for, not room and board, but you can get it for both. Um, and different universities, and it changes, it's not constant. So sometimes there'll be universities that have got a large amount of scholarships and sometimes they won't, and it just changes. It's not so over the years it has changed. Different universities, Franciscan, for example, used to give a lot more scholarship than they do now. And there's also work study, and there was just I don't know, just kind of a bit more information that I can look. So I just went through every Newman college and made a Google sheet of anything we were interested in and how you get in and anything about it. So that's kind of how I I said I went about the process in a, I don't know, in an organized way to try and see what we could do, what we could achieve. So the University of Dallas, I sort of a good example that you have to, um, you can't be misled by the figures. So the University of Dallas is super expensive, and it's a great university but super expensive. So just want to go to the next slide. So they give full tuition scholarships and they give scholarships and aid. But if you get I think if you want to go to the next one, I think the next one has actually got some more figures on it. So if you get a GPA of 20 of I don't know, say the one at the bottom, if you get a GPA, then you get a scholarship of $36,000, which just sounds like wow, that is amazing. So getting a GPA of 4.4 isn't that difficult. Getting a 1400 on your SAT, the kind of third column along, is much more difficult. But say you did do that, then you get $36,000, which is like wow, that's just amazing. Like someone's going to give me, and that'll be per year, so you're going to get $36,000 per year. But that doesn't tell you how much the rest of it's going to cost. So you've got to be like astute as to what the whole thing's going to be. So with um, University of Dallas, I think it tells you on the next slide what you still got to pay. So if you're on campus, your tuition per year is 54,000 and your fees on top of that are 4,000 and your books and all the rest of it and your housing, whatever. So the total is the bit at the bottom, 79,000. So you might get a $36,000 dollar grant from the University of Dallas, which I think there was someone this year that got that and they were just so thrilled. And I was like thinking, well, they don't actually probably know how much the rest of it is. So don't, yeah, you can think it's like amazing and you're being given a huge amount of money, which you are being given a huge amount of money, but the total is still enormous. And there's an enormous gap between how much you've got to pay and how much you've been given. This was just an example of a one that I haven't seen before. This one didn't exist so I was looking at all this a year re-looking at all this a year ago, and this one didn't exist. And you can see the total cost of this one is 6,750, which is just compared to the one we just looked at, is completely different. So there are certainly ones that are like there's another one called Our Lady's Seat of Wisdom in Canada that's much cheaper. It's definitely one of the cheaper ones. There are some online options for the Newman colleges, but this one is it's very, very small and it's only been open for like a year, I think. But if that's what you really want to do, then that keep looking and make sure you're aware of what's out there. But obviously, this one's very cheap. Um, the other thing you've got to think about is if you embark on this process, there's a really good chance your kids are going to stay in America. That if they go, they're very likely to fall in love or to get a job over there, and that's it. I think Jenny would say the same, that her kids went to America and then they met people and now they're in America and her grandchildren are in America. My son's getting married next May, and he's coming here in the summer for a couple of weeks and then at Christmas, and then that's it really. I just don't think we're going to see very much of him kind of after that. And that's he's going to get married and he's going to living in America, don't get much holiday in America. So to embark on this, you have to know that's what you're letting yourself in for. That your children, there's a really good chance that your children will live in America. So it's an amazing opportunity to go to these colleges. It is, it's like Catholic Disneyland in some ways. They're so Catholic, they're so faithful, they have so many opportunities. It's amazing, but although it's a very good likelihood that they're going to stay there. So this is just another one. So my daughter applied for John Paul the Great. It's in California. This was pre-COVID, or just before COVID. And she had I think you have to have there has to be some reason why they're going to give you a scholarship. So she had done net ministries, and she was applying. She was living in Uganda at the time. She'd done net ministries in Canada, and she was then living in Uganda, and she was also doing net ministries there. And they offered a BA in humanities for the new evangelization. So part of their BA was in the new evangelization, and she applied and was offered a scholarship, and it kind of went backwards and forwards over a while. All these things are negotiation. Well, not all colleges are with negotiation, but a lot of them are. So you can go backwards and forwards and say, that's not enough. That's not enough. I can't come. It's not enough. And they're very likely to offer you more and more money. And with her, she got about 80% tuition in the end. And John Paul the Great has an advantage that it's much shorter than it's only 3 years as opposed to 4 years. So the cost of it all was cheaper than some of the other universities. So yeah, she was set to go there, but COVID happened, so she didn't go. Um, but yeah, so this one, so I also know some people that have gone there that made a lot of films and were really into film stuff, or you know, I don't know, like really into different types of things. They offer a lot of degrees in, yeah, what you can say, like visual arts and speaking and acting and unusual things. So if you've got a child that's into that sort of thing, then that would be worth applying to. And they seem open and, interested in negotiating scholarships. Christendom College have a full tuition scholarship. You have to get a high mark in your SAT. American universities don't aren't very interested in A levels. If people have done A levels, they want SATs. Um, and for most of the sort of presidential or sort of big scholarships, even if you've done a lot of other qualifications, if you've done APs or whatever else, they seem to still want the SAT. So Christendom have got a full tuition scholarship, and it's really good. It's a very good sort of like school. So that's yeah, they offer a full tuition. Yeah, and that's it. That's their so it's out already, so that you can know when yeah, when they've got their one. So they've got their date on it is. So this was my son who he actually ended up with full tuition scholarship. Clement, he ended up with full tuition scholarship to Franciscan. And his journey was I mean, just I don't know, just I don't know, quite so remarkable really. I mean it's just I don't know how sort of God works or how things work. So again, we went on, he was the first one of mine to sort of go to America, and yeah, just didn't think it was going to happen. We were at the World Meeting of Families, and there was a university, Aquinas University, that was there. And for some reason, they were interested in international students. They hadn't been going very long, and they were very interested in having international students. So, and they seemed very interested in him. So we applied. That's what I'm saying. Like the situation's always changing. There's always going to be like a new college or something new that's happening. So he applied, and he was offered a full tuition scholarship, which was, I mean, just amazing. It was just incredible. But and then he applied to Christendom, the one that we just saw the slide of, and because he wasn't he'd already was in the process of applying to Christendom, and he received an offer from Christendom, but it wasn't a full tuition scholarship. But because some universities do something called scholarship matching, so if you get a full scholarship or any amount of scholarship from one university, they're quite likely to match it in another university. And that's what they did. So at Christendom, so he'd got this scholarship offer from Aquinas, but he really would prefer Christendom. So they said that they would match it. But his real desire all the way through had been going to go to Franciscan University of Steubenville, and that was the thing that he had a friend that was going there, and that had been like their sort of dream for years, that they really want to go there. And knew a lot of people that were there, and he ended up there was I know you might know the NACF in the UK, so he ended up sitting next to Cardinal Burke, came over to the NACF one year, and they wanted some young people. They had like a dinner for young people, and he ended up sitting next to Cardinal Burke, and they had a very long discussion about all the books that Clement had read, and I know he was just taken with Clement. He liked him, and said that he would really, is there anything he could do to help Clement, do anything in the future or some sort of comment like that. And Clement thought, right, okay, well, I'm actually going to ask him. And he asked him whether he would help him get into Franciscan. And Cardinal Burke then wrote Franciscan, and basically, anyway, they decided to match his scholarship, so which he'd been offered at Christendom. So it kind of ended up with this journey from Aquinas to Christendom to Franciscan. And I suppose I'm just sort of sharing it because it really was just not a plan, and it just didn't know that this was, I don't know, we just sort of embarked on this journey, did not think it was going to happen, but it did, and it was remarkable. And he ended up doing 4 years at Franciscan, and yeah, he had a full tuition scholarship to do that. So yeah, it was great. So I suppose you just don't know. You just don't know what might happen. And then my the next one that tried to go to American university, the one that's getting married next year, he he's just finishing his third year at Ave Maria. And there was just 1 year, so there was something called a St. Rita Scholarship, which was a full ride that they were offering to international students. And a full ride means that you get um, uh, room and board and your full tuition, so you get everything paid for. And he applied for it, and he did well on the CLT, but not, I mean, not like unbelievably well or anything. And he applied for this thing, and then he got a phone call, and he was in the library, and this guy asked to speak to him, and just told him he thought it was like, I don't know, he didn't even know it was an interview. He didn't know what it was, and this guy just told him that he'd been offered this full tuition scholarship. And I really don't know how he got it, or why they chose him, or whether they were short of people, or he had APs, so whether it was the APs, or and that's why he's doing the APs to try and get these scholarships. But I don't know what it was. I don't know why he was in the right time at the right place, and whether I no idea why he got it. I don't think his application, I don't think he'd done anything that remarkable, or I don't know. I suppose the APs are unusual, but they're not that unusual. And anyway, he ended up with full ride scholarship. They don't do this scholarship anymore, but he was in the right place at the right time. So again, in the same way with this kind of Aquinas College, or this sort of this St. Rita scholarship, that things change with these universities, and I don't know, you just got to be aware of what they're doing, and what, how things are changing, and what they're offering at that time, and kind of keep your options open, really. Anyway, so he went there. And this is, yeah, just gives you a sort of breakdown of what it is. And then my youngest son, again, the dream was to go to, he really wanted to go to American college. Again, didn't think, like, how's this going to happen? But he applied, he did his SAT and didn't get enough on it, but decided to redo his SAT, and then applied and was offered. How it works with well, how it works with Ave Maria is that they offer you a scholarship, and then they offer you a frisbee scholarship, or a rugby scholarship, or some other scholarship, and then there's another scholarship or a band scholarship. So you kind of keep adding up. They keep offering you more things, and they keep adding up. So eventually, anyway, he was offered various things, and he's been offered a full tuition scholarship as well. And he but it was a very sort of quite a lot of meetings, sort of backwards and forwards, and quite lots of negotiation. And again, I don't really know. He went over there, actually. So he went over there for the presidential scholarship weekends, and they do actually still offer some full ride scholarships, the whole thing, but not just to internationals, to kind of like anybody. And I would recommend anyone applying to Arve to do that. Um, so he got offered the full tuition, and he had it was a plan. He's done 5 APs, and that was, we were trying to make him have a standout transcript. He's got a 4.0 GPA, and he's also done the other thing he's done, which, I don't know, you never know what it is that's giving you these things, but he's organized about 4 or 5 different pilgrimages. He's done, like, organized things to World Youth Day, and Jubilee of Youth and Chart pilgrimages. So he's been really involved with organising groups of lads to those pilgrimages. So he was able to put that on his application. I mean, things like having a job is just not it's just not a very interesting thing. So all Americans have got multiple jobs. So you've got to have, if you want to get these scholarships, I would say that it's very advantageous to have something different, to do something. You've got to be a standout something to have a chance of getting these scholarships. He'd also done quite a lot of music, I suppose, as well. Um, yeah, I was gonna say something else about that, but anyway, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So that's tuition, and just the SAT. But the SAT seems to be an important thing to do. Khan Academy, look at Khan Academy, and look at Desmos, and try and get a good mark, a good score on your SAT. Is that the last one? I can't remember. Yeah. Okay. So that's it. So that's yeah, that's kind of the journey. That's the sort of the journey that we went on. And I don't know, everyone else's journey might be completely different, but that's what we did. And as I say, we wanted that to happen, so we tried to make it happen, and praise God it did. So happy to answer questions if I can help, or people to discuss things or whatever.
I thought it was interesting, Helen, how you said about, well, first of all, first of all, you said, oh, the thing is, they might end up in America and they'll marry
Hmm.
Americans, you'll never see them again,
Hmm.
kind of thing. But then when you explained about Clement and how his whole, all those doors opening, and
Hmm.
I don't know, it just makes it so exciting that that what God's got in store if He wants something for you, and doors open or doors close, or
Yeah,
it's definitely a whole journey of trusting in His providence, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. And I think it's just embark on it, embark on it with a.
And Clement came back.
He did at the moment. He did. He's come back at the moment.
It's not guaranteed.
Yeah, I know.
And
Yeah,
I'd just like to say that my Jacob met his wife in Ireland.
I know. Yeah,
So actually, we only have one married to an American that he met in America. So
yeah. But I know, like McKinnon. I know, like for Maria McKinnon, like she's got two that have gone to America and
yeah.
two are
But then
staying.
Paul's American. I think if you've got an attachment to America already,
Hmm.
which we did, and our boys, I always think our boys kind of grew up with Americans. They never
Hmm.
lived in England. It was no surprise really that they would end up there. So
Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, it's the risk you take.
yeah.
But
Yes,
then
but yeah, and kind of, I suppose, yeah, the other thing I was going to say is that, so if you're looking at the with the Arve, I mean, it's still like money, so there's still, so Ambrose got a full tuition scholarship. There's a big gap. I mean, there's still a big gap that between the full tuition and what he's got to pay. So the room and board is, I can't remember what it is, but there's still a big gap. So he's at Wingers at the moment as I speak. He's there till 11 o'clock tonight. So since he's got his place, um he's working about 50 hours a week at the moment. So he's earning about £500 a week at the moment for working at a chicken wing shop, and he's got a cleaning job as well. He had five jobs at one point. So he kind of finished school as early as possible in this kind of year, and just been trying to earn as much money as he could. There's a chance of getting an RA job, which you get $11,000 a year, which is an awful lot. But anyway, and then he'll work in the summers. So and he may end up debt free, but he also may have to kind of borrow some money from us. You obviously can't borrow, you can't get grants from the British government to make up the shortfalls. You've got to kind of borrow from parents. So, he will, having a full tuition, we worked out the cost would be similar to what it would be at a British university. So he also had a place at a British university. So you go to a British university and the cost would be X. And going 4 years, so obviously it's an extra year going to America, including flights and all the rest of it, was we reckoned it was going to be pretty similar. But the big difference to the British university is that you can get a government loan and don't have to pay it back straight away. So the American one, you got to pay it up front. So that's the big difference. Sorry, someone
sports
put.
scholarships. What do you know about sports scholarships, Helen?
Um,
They're getting
yes,
more and more into rugby in the States. I bet.
yeah,
I bet it's a good one for people to have
yeah.
here.
Yeah, I
Didn't
mean,
one of Jackie's boys,
yeah, I mean, yeah. Franciscan offer don't offer very much scholarships. They offer 50% off for internationals, but that's just 50% off tuition, so still a big gap. But yeah, they do offer rugby scholarships. So Newman colleges, I don't think they offer big sports scholarship. They do offer sports scholarships. Like my son's got, I think, or 3,000 or something for frisbee. But yeah, but I don't think I've heard of any of them offering really big scholarships for sport, but I'm sure other American universities do. Well, they do, don't they?
Christendom
Other,
is very known for its rugby.
yeah, but I don't think they offer big scholarships for it. So I'm sure they'd be interested in you if you go there,
Mm.
and maybe that would give you a good chance to full tuition one if you're
Hmm.
good at rugby.
Hmm.
But yeah, but obviously other American universities do swimming, everything scholarships.
Our Jacob went to Christendom for 1 year, and I think he got some funding. I seem to remember it cost him 16,000 altogether, and that was a lot of money at the time. We I guess he borrowed it and he paid it back pretty quickly afterwards, but it was only 1 year and it was so worth it. I mean, that experience, I mean, it's life changing, isn't it?
Hmm.
It's it was huge, huge for him. So worth it, every penny. Actually, he before he did that, he I think they still do it. There's a program. The reason he chose Christendom, well, partly because his girlfriend lived not too far away, but a big part of it was in Ireland. They have I'd forgotten about that. They do a thing every year where Christendom students come over and they offer Irish students free places to join them. And Jacob did that for 2 weeks. He joined a bunch of Christendom students for 2 weeks, and went all over Ireland and they studied in the mornings and stuff like that. It's worth looking up if that's still going on, if anybody's interested. And that got him hooked on it. And the guys he met, they were there then when he went. That was amazing. And Isaac went to Thomas More, but again through Newman College Ireland, so he had very low fees. And just to mention that Thomas Aquinas don't do scholarships, Thomas Aquinas College, but they have one of the most generous financial aid. So it's all just based on, like Modge does, it's just based on your family income, the money you have, and then they award what they think is suitable. And when our Nathaniel went there, I would never have thought about, never even considered, like Helen said, that something like that would be possible. But it was Laura Berquist that suggested it for Nathaniel, and I said, no way. My husband was working part time on minimum wage at the time. I said, "What? Are you joking? Like we couldn't pay the flights." And she said, "No, no. If it's really clear that you're low income, you'll get the maximum amount of aid," which we did. And I think he had to borrow 5,000 a year, $5,000 a year for 4 years. So, and that's everything. A lot of them too, Helen. I don't know how many, but I know a lot of them are. Nathaniel definitely did the work study thing where you work. They work
Hmm.
10 hours a week,
Hmm. Yeah.
and that
I mean,
takes part of it off.
yeah, Ambrose will do that as well. So Ambrose will probably work 10 hours a week. So, and
Hmm.
they pay, I think, $15 an hour. So
Hmm.
yeah, yep. Yeah, the work study thing is just I think most universities have that, and it's just
Yeah, I mean
you just
ITI does that too, don't they?
yeah, yeah. We should mention ITI. So I mean ITI is another great opportunity like to go, and
Hmm.
that's definitely cheaper than a lot of the American universities, and they offer I don't know how much they offer now, but they certainly do offer some scholarships. So yeah, ITI is definitely a good place to look at.
And you can do 1 year that
Hmm.
can be potentially the first year of your degree as well, right?
Hmm.
If anybody wants to know more about Thomas Aquinas College or ITI, we've done with Modge, we had each of those come and do a presentation. I've got the recording somewhere. If you haven't seen it and you want it, let me know and I can send it to you. Any questions from anybody? We should probably call it a day, should we?
Hmm. Yeah,
Everybody
we could
thought we
just talk
might
to
have
each
a
other,
bunch of
Jenny, but
questions. Yeah, it was like we're like one of those podcasts and we just go back and forth, discuss it all.
Sorry, just there's too much noise where I am.
that's right.
They're playing
Oh,
with the
okay.
keyboard. I'm in Dallas, so I was
Yes.
interested to hear about Dallas University now.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's interesting to hear about the scholarships and how you can tell different universities what the other one gave.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah,
And
yeah.
I just wanted to confirm because I couldn't hear everything, but you're saying that the academic results are quite important for scholarships, like getting SATs and APs and all that. Sorry,
Like the piano, the very good pianist.
it's a new
Um,
keyboard and they can't stop.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Margaret just asked the same question almost, really. How much difference do APs make? Are they necessary? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know because I'm not on the admissions panel, but I think something's got to make a difference. So they have a bunch of kids applying for these things, and to say Arve, which it's they have a scholarship weekend. So I think they had 120 kids going to scholarship weekend, and you have to get over, I think it's 13, 16 your SAT. So they've got 100 kids, and they offer, say, I think it was six or four, something like that, full tuition scholarships. And they offered, I don't know how many sorry, six full ride or four full ride scholarships. I don't know how many full tuition, but I mean, there certainly were a lot of people that Ambrose had contact with that certainly haven't been offered full tuition. So maybe they offer another 10, I don't know, whatever it is. So, you know, I don't know how they distinguish those people. I mean, there has to be some way that they are choosing those people. You know, so I don't know what it is. Whoever it is who is choosing it, those kids have got to have something special about them. I don't think Franciscan do the presidential scholarship weekend in the same way now, but they were, and same thing really. That there's a lot of kids who have got the minimum requirements, so they have to, so to get the scholarship, you've got to have something else. So I decided that with mine that the APs were a good and an easy way really of trying to get that kind of extra thing. But I don't think it's enough. I think you can have great APs, but you need more. It's not enough to have that. So, which is why I think things like the pilgrimage thing was, something that we did. Or I think volunteering work is important for, I remember Anselm was, we were trying to get him to do some volunteering work. So he was going around picking up rubbish around the street, so we could say that he'd done that. So it was just like, I don't know, every week he was like going up and, we just were trying to find things that he could do to put on his like application, so you got to have some standout stuff, whether it's music or art or volunteering or pro-life. They like pro-life, so any pro-life work. So yeah, I think you've got to have something. So I don't think it has to be APs, but I think APs are definitely going to help. I think honors classes, I'm sure they would help. Um, but yeah, you've got to have standout things. I suppose honors courses and DE, like a lot of people would, yeah, the more standout stuff you can have, the better, I would say. But I don't know, I just kind of know what I tried to do with my kids and it worked, but it may not work for the next kids. So I don't know. I don't know. So I know that's the answer. That's a
Yeah,
I
Helen, I
agree.
have a question. Hi,
hi.
Jenny. Thank you so much for this. Um, Actually, kind of two questions I thought of as you were just speaking. The first one was when you were doing your research, did you actually speak with anyone at the university and ask them these kind of questions, or is it just what you could find out online?
Kind of both, really. I suppose we did have some contact with
Mhm.
universities. Yeah, kind of both, really. I mean, you have like these admissions counselors. As soon as you can embark on the process, they assign you an admissions counselor, and they're super keen to talk to you. So yeah, a bit of both, a bit of
Okay.
kind of like just research, and then talking to other people, and then yeah, speaking to these admissions counselors.
And did they tell you that kind of information, what you can do to get scholarships or get accepted? They didn't give that
No,
information out. No.
no,
Okay.
no, no. I don't think. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, no. I suppose I never asked that question.
Oh,
I
okay.
may, I maybe, I maybe they would. Maybe they would tell you kind
Yeah.
of who they give their scholarships to. So maybe they would. Not sure.
Okay. My other question was in the application, can you remember what was involved? Were they writing essays? Were they like, did they have to give a lot of information that would make them stand out?
No, not really. So Ambrose's application for Arve was he had to write about a book he had read recently, and he had to write about what he could contribute to Arve, but they weren't long. I mean, they were
Yeah.
500 words sort of thing, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, and then like Thomas More, you've got to write. They want an essay, like a theological kind of essay. I think TAC require a bit more. You've got to write. What have you had to
Mhm.
do? What's he had to do for?
I think it was like four different things.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I can't remember, something about education, something about why they should accept you at TAC kind of thing. Why do you want to go there? And then
yeah,
something that's more to do with theology, maybe. I
but
forget.
not that much. And then if you
Uh,
go to a presidential weekend, then they had like a whole weekend of I don't know they interview you and stuff. But it was pretty low key. It wasn't. It's almost like I think Ambrose felt they'd made the decision before he went there, but it was not. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he doesn't know. I don't know. But
Yeah.
he doesn't really feel it was a very stressy weekend. It all seemed very relaxed. So I'm not sure, you know.
So to you, it seemed like it was more the other things, not the essay, not the interviews, not the whole application, just kind of
Yeah. Well, I suppose,
is
you know,
that-
if you
just
as a
curious what you
yeah,
think.
I know. I mean, it's like, but if you've got, you know, you've got all these bright kids, and you've got, you know,
Yeah.
so you've got 120 bright kids that have all filled the kind of like the minimum academic requirements, and they all write an essay, or like say they write 400 words about a book they've read. Well,
Hmm.
I can imagine that maybe there's 10 of them that are, you'd think, oh right, okay, that wasn't very good. But there's
Hmm.
probably like 50 of them that are just really similar to each other. I mean, how do you
Yeah.
distinguish between these bright kids all writing an essay? And maybe there are a couple that stand out. So it's, I suppose I
Yeah.
just think it has to be that someone's done, you know, led Tennessee's pro-life youth action group for the
Right.
last 5 years. You know, it has to be that, I would imagine. But am I surmising? I don't know. But I think it has to be something, that kind of thing, that they were like, oh, well, that's unusual, because probably everyone's read a book and can write a really good 400
Yeah.
words about what great book they read, and it'd be hard, I would imagine, to make that stand out. So um
Mm.
yeah, because they're all going to pick an impressive book, aren't they? They're all going to pick some impressive book that they've read. So yeah.
And did all of your children that went to these universities, did they all have a diploma from Maj, or what did they
Hmm.
apply with? Or
Yeah,
how
yeah,
much?
yeah, yeah. They had a book club, which I think did help. I think the
Hmm.
Modge thing did help.
Okay.
um yeah. um
THC definitely
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
stand you out from the rest.
yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah,
There's a lot of
yeah.
March grants.
Yeah. Margaret's asking, was the residential weekend compulsory? Yes. For Christendom it was, for Franciscan it is, and for Ave it is. Yeah, you've got to go. They're not interested. They want you to go. Absolutely. And it's almost like the one at Ave, oh, another big part of it was they were selling Ave to you. They were telling you how amazing Ave was, because there are many people there who are they're not going to give the full tuition or the full ride to, and they really want you to go there. So they're very much selling. So you're almost like you're going there trying to get a scholarship, but they're also trying to sell Arve to you, because for most people, they're not going to get those scholarships. They want you to go there. So absolutely, they want you to go there, and they want you to. So yeah, you have to go there to get those scholarships. And Marianne's asked, how do you cope? How does your children cope with homesickness? I think the thing is, how do the parents cope with the children leaving? I think that's a much
They have
bigger
a great time.
so, but I think they do. I mean, I think that there are, you know, I think that some of them have had times that they have felt quite, I don't know, sort of sad, and you know, and they have missed us and whatever. But I don't know, I'm not sure it's any more so than if they were in Glasgow or Cardiff or whatever. So, you know, I suppose they can't come home for a weekend, but you know, that transition of moving away from home, I'm not sure it's that different whether they're in America or not. And making decisions, well, I mean, I don't know, they can just phone you, can't they? So, you know, I think I think it, I think if you've got a child that's very sheltered, then I think they'd probably find it quite tough. So I think if you want to do this and your kids are going to do this, then I think you are wise to be thinking about it from as early as possible, and, you know, them earning money as early as possible to put towards this, and, you know, having a job and things like that. I think they probably need to be quite resilient and quite tough, because it is a big deal, you know, getting on the flight and going away from home and doing all that. So, do you agree, Jenny? I just think they've got to be fairly brave, and they've got to be pretty confident to be able to do that, because it's not easy, and some kids wouldn't be able to do it. So I think you've got to know whether your kids would be able to do it. I think
Mine
some
were
wouldn't.
older, I suppose. I mean, we lived in Austria, and Jacob left home, and he went to Scotland for a year,
Yeah.
and then he was older by the time he got there. By that last year, he'd probably been finished school 3 or 4 years already.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I'm sure some people do it. Um, or the McKinnons, they're to go over to
But
California.
they've traveled a lot independently. So I'd say you just got to be, if your kid's never done very much and haven't had a job or anything like that, then I'd say that they're going to find it very difficult. So build up, you know, like anything in parenthood, you know, you kind of build into these things, don't you?
Hmm. The other one is Rome to mention. I forgot. My Isaac went to um, uh, the Angelicum, and he said the fees there are really low. It's quite cheap. He says, but you've got to live in Rome. You have to, there's no, like, it's not like those American colleges that I mean, they're even compared to universities here, they're so, to me, Thomas Aquinas College was like private boys' school. We used to say we're sending him off to private school because it's like they get your books for you. Like you have a box of all the books you need, and the canteen is like you're totally taken care of, and you're safe, and if you are somebody that's sheltered, if they haven't been really adventurous in their teen years and they go to TAC, they would be taken care of, and like you wouldn't have to worry that they're not. I don't know. I feel like it's very sort of, well, partly sheltered in a way, but the Angelicum, it's literally you can. It's not expensive to study there, but you've got to rent a flat and make your way. Otherwise, is another option if you want theology and philosophy and everything.
Margaret's asked, can you wait a year? I don't know. Um, didn't try that. Anselm got the full ride offer and he asked whether he could take a year out and defer it for a year, and they said no. So he just felt, I don't know, a bit overwhelmed by it all and just wasn't quite sure. He spent quite a long time deciding like whether he could actually, I think because he applied and we really just did not think it was going to happen, and really did not think this was going to happen. And then it happened. It was just such a shock. I think he just was not prepared for that at all. And he decided that he wanted to defer it for a year. He wanted to go, but defer it for a year. But they said no, they wouldn't do that. So, but I don't know whether if you just didn't apply, I'm not sure. I haven't done it, so not sure. I'd say they don't do it in America. They don't do gap years. It's not a thing. So I think they probably find it a bit odd. So probably not. But
Okay, should we call it a day?
yeah, no,
Oh, are there any particular subjects they're more likely to get accepted to study?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, another uh, friend's son got accepted to Arve. He's also got full tuition. They've just got a new engineering department, and he's been accepted to engineering. So if you get a college that has got a new, so Arve's also got new law. So if you want to go to Arve to do law, you're more likely to get scholarships. So if you get a university that's just opened a, chemistry department, then they're going to be more interested in a chemistry student. So I'd say that's, look and see what people are doing, and good luck. Yeah. Yeah, hope it works out.
Jenny, quick question about the Angelicum. Did they have to did your son have to have a B2 certificate for Italian to study there? Was it in English?
He had classes in Italian. I don't know actually how. I don't know. It was a degree. He went to. He started at the Newman College in Ireland and did 2 years, and then he did his second 2 years at Thomas More, and then he had enough credits. That whole credit system that the Americans do. He had enough credits to get on a final year of a philosophy degree. So he got a philosophy degree as well as his liberal arts degree, but just 1 year at the Angelicum. And I know he did do, not everything was in Italian, a lot was in Italian. He just picked it up. He's just good like that.
Okay, but they
His,
didn't
all
make it a
his all his
requirement.
Latin, all the years he did Modge, I think paid off. I don't, possibly, I don't remember though. I don't remember
Okay,
that he did. I might have missed it. He
that's
wasn't
okay.
living at home when he did all that. Um, yeah. Maybe he took an Italian. He must have taken Italian classes as well. Sorry.
Mhm. That's okay.
My kids do their own thing. I mean, I laugh now that our Nathaniel, who was the first one, went to TAC, and people are like, "Oh, but how did you? How was this? How was that?" He did the whole application himself. He did the whole. He'd say, "They want to know, Mum, if you've got any questions." I'm like, "I don't know. Have I got any questions?" He's like, "No, I think I've got it." I'm like, "Okay." He totally has. You just educate your children, homeschool them. You give them a Modge education, preferably. They know how to to do their own research. They know how to study. They know how to find out they know what they want to do, and they find out how to do it, and they become more capable than the mother. In my case, anyway. Yeah, they figure out a lot themselves.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Okay. God bless.
We recorded
Bye.
it in case it's useful for anybody that missed it or something.
Okay. God
Thank
bless.
you.
Thanks for
Thanks.
coming.
Really
God bless
Bye.
useful.
you all.